Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Escaping the Cyber Complexity Trap with Perimeter 81. I am Michael Susan, and I'm going to be your moderator for this event tonight or today, wherever you are. We are joined by Perimeter 81 CEO Amit Bareket and Louis Gordon, the architect of our 2021 State of Cybersecurity Report. Together, they will showcase how businesses can escape the cyber complexity trap with radically simple SASE solutions. We have an exciting time ahead of us, so let's get right into it. I will quickly go over the agenda before I do introductions. We're going to go into the state of cybersecurity, 4 essential lessons, the evolution of SASE in 2022, avoiding the cyber complexity trap, and then a micro demo, a radically simple cybersecurity micro demo by Amit himself, and then we're going to go into an audience Q&A. So if you guys do have any questions, there is a chat box. Feel free to drop any of your questions there, and we will answer all of them towards the end of the event. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Amit Bareket, the CEO and co-founder of Perimeter 81. Amit, would you like to go ahead and say a couple things?
Yeah, so hi everyone, and I'm happy to be here today, and thank you, Michael, and thank you, Louis, and I'll be happy to talk to you today about SASE and what we hear from our 2,000 plus customers, as well as introduce our platform with a quick demo. And I'm sure that it will be a very beneficial session today, so I'm very excited.
Absolutely. And Louis, on to you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You're the architect behind cybersecurity.
Yeah, so I'm the architect of the report. I'm responsible for content and PR at Perimeter 81. And I'm also, as part of this, I'm responsible for the bulk of our blogs. And I'd really like to encourage all of you to come visit our cybersecurity blogs. We put them up regularly, a lot of interesting, great content. And that's really it. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm really glad to see you, Amit and Mike.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And let's just jump right on into it. So Louis, as we just mentioned, you were the architect behind the State of Cybersecurity 2021 report that we did last year. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the report? And of course, the slides are yours to take over.
Sure. Let's go. So a couple quick things. So first, as a marketer and a business person, it's important not to overestimate the impact of anecdotal evidence. And you know, in my position, you meet several customers, you meet 1, 10, 20, but is that really enough? Does that give you a sense of what's really going into the market? And in order to bridge this gap, we decided to commission a survey and really to give us real insights, statistically valid insights about work practices, cyber attacks, the needs of IT professionals, and more. And so we commissioned a survey of 40 questions. And we received more than 600 complete responses and about 150 partial responses, mostly from the USA. And the companies that answered, they were IT professionals from more than 20 industries, including software, retail, healthcare, agriculture, finance, manufacturing, and more. So what were those 4 lessons that we learned in the study? So the first lesson we learned is that hybrid work is here to stay. And that's a complete, fact. There was really no bones about it. Is 87% of the respondents said that they plan to have employees working remotely or hybrid after COVID in 2021, 2022, and beyond. Just to clarify the difference between hybrid and remote. Remote is obviously people working from home, and that's solely working from home, while hybrid is a mix of the two. And the reason that so many companies are planning to have their employees working hybrid or remote in the future is because it's absolutely a win-win situation from both. We have that, let's say one of the most popular responses is actually improved work-life balance. And that's good for the employer and for the employee.
Absolutely.
We have higher productivity. And there's a lot of talk about this, not just anecdotes, or it's not just an article here and article there, but we saw it in the results itself. It was really overwhelming. And of course, there's increased business agility. When we commissioned a study last year, we were thinking of, well, business agility is something you might need in the future, you know, and then we got hit with the Delta, and then we get hit with the Omicron. And in the East Coast of the United States, they're getting hit with snowstorms. So business agility is something that has real benefits, and it's really important to the organization. And you can do that by having, you know, the software and the hardware, the software infrastructure in place, and the company policies to enable people to work from home, to enable the hybrid workforce. So what was also interesting is we asked them, not only were they working from home, but the question is how often, how much are companies really committed to the idea of this flexibility, of this new world of work? And what we saw is that companies are definitely committed. More than 1/5 of the companies will work one day a week from home, but you have even more. You have more than 50% are actually working 3 and 4 days a week from home. So this means that companies are heavily invested, and they recognize that it's win-win for everyone all around. So the second thing we learned is that cyber attacks are not just news stories. We read it's in the news. You read about Colonial Pipeline. You read about Kaseya. You read about ransomware here, ransomware there, a break, data loss. But the question is, are we reading, you know, an article every now and that's it? Or is it something that actually is occurring like almost everywhere all the time? And it really is occurring almost everywhere all the time. According out of the respondents, a full 66% reported that they suffered some sort of serious cybersecurity incident in 2020 and 2021. And that broke down into ransomware. Ransomware was more than 30% of the companies had a ransomware attack. Even more had phishing. You had other companies with nearly 40% had breaches. And there were, let's say, 33% had no attack at all. But you can see from the data that it's not just that it's a guarantee. It can really happen to anyone at any time. And if you're in the 33% in 2020 or 2021, you know, who knows what's in 2022. So it's really important that you have all this cybersecurity in place. Excuse me. So as we delve into the story of cyber attacks and how companies are responding, we asked them how many of the companies reported to the authorities. And it turns out 87% of all companies report a cybersecurity incident or a serious attack to their local or federal authorities, depending on the regulation. But what was even more surprising, at least at first, was that 59% of companies actually pay ransom to cyber thieves. And this is even though the FBI and the police say don't pay because it only encourages it. But the ROI, at least for most companies, is very clear that unfortunately in this case, crime does pay. If we look at the example of Baltimore, the city of Baltimore suffered a serious cybersecurity attack 2 or 3 years ago. The ransom was for $100,000 in Bitcoin, at least then. I'm not sure what it's worth today. But in any case, they decided not to pay. And the length of time that the computer systems were down, the loss of income, the costs of cleanup were actually $180 million. So when you do the math and you look at, should I pay $100,000 or pay $180 million? And the answer is clear. But that's, you know, that's an anecdotal example. But you can see it does have an impact on the companies that are willing to pay. In terms of the total cost, we saw that they did break down. Companies that had some sort of breach, they had no actual cost of damage. We didn't drill down to see exactly what that entailed, but we did see that other companies did actually have costs. 10% of the companies replying said their actual costs were more than $1 million from cyber attacks, and we had another almost 20% up to between 500,000 and $1 million. And then, you know, and another good sized chunk actually had between $100,000 and $500,000. So cyber attacks do occur, and they are expensive. And the costs a lot of times relate to the type of business and actually how profitable and how quickly the money comes in. Because the longer you're down, the more money you can lose. And on the other end, if it's a very small company, you know, it could actually force you out of business. So in addition to looking into ransomware, we want to know what's going on with the network. Where is this leading us? What's the emerging story? And what we learned is that only, and it's very small, only 1% of the respondents, you can see it's the little thin blue line between the yellow and the royal blue. 1% of respondents to the survey actually have all of their networking resources still on-prem. This was actually a really small number. I was not expecting, we weren't expecting to be quite that small. And you can see that the trend really is to migrate resources to the cloud. Obviously, email and other non-specialized apps, but as legacy apps, as legacy apps are starting to become dated, as hardware needs to be replaced, companies are shifting these resources and applications to the cloud. And so the next question, or one of the next questions we asked is, as the networking has changed and the attack surface has increased, did this actually expose the company more? Were the primary victims or the entrants to the network from work from home? And we saw it's actually fairly balanced between the work from home computer and the work from office computer as the attack surface from the most serious cybersecurity incidents. And this was a bit surprising. I have to admit, it's not clear from our data whether this is because they took a work from office computer and were using it at home. So this will be interesting to follow up in this year's report. And then in terms of, as we see that the networks are growing and that the attack surfaces have grown, is how does this actually affect the complexity of their cybersecurity? Does it make it increasingly challenging? And the answer is clear that for a sizable 12%, that it's significantly more complex. And 55% say it's somewhat more complex. So we can see really with both those numbers, definitely for most network managers, the growth of the network, the hybrid network, and the attack surface makes cybersecurity more complex. And this leads us to the lesson number 4, and that is cybersecurity complexity is a serious challenge today. And this is really the crux of the problem. This is where Perimeter 81 comes into play. And this is really what we call, that Amit will touch upon more, was the cyber complexity trap. And this is because as companies grow, they're using more and more security tools. And overall, 30% of all companies in the survey use 20 or more cybersecurity tools. And when you drill down drill down into this data and you look at the companies by size, then it gets even more interesting. In companies with 500 to 1,000 employees, 30% use 20 or more tools. But when you jump to companies with 1,000 employees or more, 50% of those companies use 20 or more tools, and almost 20% use more than 40 tools. And this could be due to a variety of reasons, including they have larger teams, they segment responsibilities more, and they have larger budgets. But the question is with all this, more tools and more people and more teams, is more, or is it actually, more is less? And if we look at the next two questions on the other side, the two pie charts, we can see that actually more is less. More tools are less effective in combating cybersecurity and protecting the networks. And this isn't just, 50% think yes and 50% say no. 71% of VPs and CIOs feel that the larger number of cybersecurity tools make their job actually harder to protect the network and detect threats. And even more importantly, the question is it more difficult some of the time, or is it, how often is this actually difficult? And so 29% of the VPs and CIOs say that it's always or almost always more difficult to protect and defend the network because they have so many tools. And we can see 36% say that this is often the case. So that means we've got more than 60%, almost 2/3 of some VPs and CIOs feel that having so many tools makes their job often harder, or always or almost always harder. And this is really a big issue, and this is really why you have the need for SSC and for SASE. And Amit will talk further about this. So in sum, what did we learn from our cybersecurity report? We learned that hybrid and remote work is here to stay, and it's here to stay for good. Cyber attacks are not just news stories. They're something that can affect every network. Networks today are larger and have more attack surfaces. Therefore, more tools are often used, and this causes cyber complexity, which is a serious problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Louis. That was great. You know, it's interesting to think about the fact that we always think that more is better, but apparently the data is suggesting otherwise in this case. So that's definitely something interesting to think about. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Louis. Now, moving on, Amit, the evolution of SASE in 2022. Tell us more. The floor is yours. Also, I understand some people may be having issues seeing the screen. Please try refreshing your BrightTalk menu if you are still having issues viewing the slides. Our apologies. Please feel free to come back and check the video later, but we will do our best to make sure you get the highest quality feed. Thank you. Amit, please continue.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Louis and Michael. I'll continue from here and would like to describe to you what is the evolution of SASE and what's ahead of us. Very in high level, right? Today, the internet is becoming the corporate network. And the question is how to deliver a complete secured network, a corporate secured network over the internet. Employees are working from home, resources are moving to the cloud, and on-premise infrastructure, the on-premise networking, and the on-premise security that we've known until just recently is not longer advocated for this world. And what we're going to see is basically as infrastructure develops and fiber is available anywhere, 5G is available anywhere, we'll see that more and more security and network solutions are moving away from on-premise appliances and physical infrastructure to be delivered as a service over the cloud. Okay? We are always limited by the number of network experts, right, that we have in our company, or the security experts that we have in our company. And that transformation, right, which is revolution, it's not evolution, it makes it easy for one end, but also makes it possible to consume highest grade of networking and security delivered very easily to any company from any size. Okay? And Gartner came out with a term called the SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, and recently with SASE, which is a subset of SASE, which talks about that migration, right, from on-premise physical appliances to a complete platform that is consumed as a service over the edge. The edge cloud means cloud services, like you all know, but that are local, right? Because at the end, you cannot compete with physics. There is latency, and you'd like to deliver all the security services to as close as you can to your customers, right? And what we see today, right, because most of the networking and infrastructure and security was developed in-house, companies had to run a long-lasting cycle of POCs, engage with many different security vendors in order to create a very holistic security posture. And that's what, like we saw from recent surveys that we've done, actually created the opposite, because you need to manage many different solutions, and you're not able to do so, so you're not protected. And this is basically we call the cybersecurity complexity gap. And the fact that security and networking are moving to the cloud and are moving to be consumed as a service and as a software, right, solution that is completely managed, allowing that revolution to happen, basically consolidating all the security features that we used to consume separately, as well as network services separately, all delivered from a single platform that includes a single management console, a single network that exists in the cloud, and a single agent. Okay? And that's basically what SASE means, right? But what we're going to see in the next 15 years that companies will continue to replace their on-premise firewalls, okay, and appliances and move away to a cloud-based delivery platform. Okay, what we build here in Perimeter 81, which is a SASE vendor, right, a leading SASE vendor in the space with over 2,000 businesses that are running their networks on every day, right? This is a number that you cannot fake. Is basically the new firewall. We call it the new firewall. Instead of an appliance-based solution that you need to maintain and install, something that you consume as a software, you build your corporate network, and it's all being delivered over the internet. Okay? And the fact that it's delivered as software and it's managed from a single place, it increases the impact and the security in the organization in many, many, many multipliers. Now, I'd like to discuss how to escape that cyber complexity trap and how to make that migration from an on-premise appliances based solution to basically a secure corporate network over the internet. So the good thing is that you can compare it of migrating from on-premise email server to Office 365. The fact that the SASE vendors, right, just like Perimeter 1, are offering the same security and networking that usually used to get from an on-premise appliances and equipment over the internet, is that it's software driven. It doesn't require long-lasting implementations, but rather very, very quick because everything is ready. You don't necessarily need to rip and replace, but it's rather integrate and migrate. So we have today integrations with all the leading firewalls and appliances that we integrate together, right? In whether it's on-premise or cloud vendors like AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, and allowing you to unify your security policies easily from the cloud and slowly start and migrate parts of your organization, gain trust, and also evaluate that journey, right? Which is inventable because you cannot escape it, right? We see that migration from on-premise physical appliances to cloud-based solutions, which is driven by work from home, cloud, internet, and like today you can buy relatively in a very low cost, right? The 1 gigabit per second fiber line. Why should I pay $10,000 a month, right? To the telco in order to consume the same service I can consume at $50 per month. So maybe you can get 2 lines, right, and aggregate them and create a better reliability. So you cannot escape it. That change will happen. It's all about when to do that migration. And our strongest recommendation, right, to all the companies that we work with in consulting is becoming their partner for the journey, is to really start small, gain confidence, and see where it contributes and brings the most of the impact that you can. I will go ahead and I'll show it to the demo, and I will try to stress the ease of use and to explain the different core principles. Don't hesitate to drop questions throughout the demo, and we will address them right after.
Amit, if I may, can I ask you just to speak up just a little bit louder if you can for the demo? Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now it's okay?
Wonderful.
Good. So here you can see this is the management platform of Perimeter 81. This is the I would say, the admin area, okay? Imagine Perimeter 81 is a secure corporate network over the internet to employees and companies. We have three main components. One is the management platform, which you can see here. The second is the network that exists in our cloud edge, basically equipment that we buy, we install, we manage. Third are the agents, right? And because it's an holistic platform, it gives you complete visibility to what's happening in your network at a given time. This is a demo account, so you can see, right? A snapshot, right, of all your employees that are being connected, right? And to drill down and to see exactly what's happening in the account. But more in granular, there are three main parts of the platform. One is the team. So we provide a user-centric security, right? So it's all about who are my team members and how they appear, and you have a complete visibility to all your employees. Of course, we have integrations with all the identity providers out there in the market almost, whether it's email and password, which you can invite users and third parties very easily. Google account, SAML 2.0, Azure Active Directory, Okta, any LDAP service, so you can really connect it easily. You have also scheme support, so the provisioning can be done automatically and easily. So once you've basically invited the team or joined the identity providers, employees could start an onboard platform. Managed devices will run our agent, which is available for Windows, Mac, Ubuntu, other Linux services as well as mobile. The agent runs as a service in the background and tunnels all the traffic to our edge cloud network, which exists in multiple parts all around the world. So this is an example of a network that you can build. The network is being built very easily. We took a concept like from AWS, where you need to create your VPC. So here you need to create your network, but you don't actually install anything. It's completely virtually. A few clicks of a button takes 5 minutes, and you have an enterprise secure network exists in multiple locations and regions. We have regions all around the globe, right? From the US, Europe, Asia, Australia, and so forth. Once you build your network and connected your environments, whether it's the on-premise firewalls or cloud accounts using a tunnel, the tunnel is basically a secured connection between the different branches that you have, right? But instead of having the security policy distributed between the branches, they can easily be connected and just tunnel all traffic through Perimeter 81. And we support IPsec tunnel, which is basically very existing. And do have it guides. We have guides to all different hours of all in everywhere, as well as.
We have a question for you. Someone's asked about the OS licenses.
So OS licenses and what? Let me check the question. 1 second.
Sure.
What about OS licenses? So I'm not following the exact question, but we support our agents that can be installed on all different operation systems. We support Windows 8 and above, Mac 10.11 and above, and Ubuntu. The licensing model is not per endpoint, is per employee. So each employee can have up to 5 different devices associated with the account. So it can be done very easy and transparent, and we don't charge for bandwidth, so all included. The second once you build your network, the second step is basically configuring the firewall rules. Okay, so basically speaking, just like any firewall, you can do the same in Print 31, but instead of being associated with IP addresses, we provide user-centric security, right? So you can select bunches and you can still select IP bunches like IP segments, for example, that you have in your AWS account or so forth, but you can also select people, right? And basically build a policy that allows anyone to browse the web, but specific people to reach your AWS account. So forth in layer 3 and layer 4. Okay? Separately, we have our layer 7 security. So we have our SWG service, Secure Web Gateway, where we decrypt the entire traffic, right? And allowing to block specific applications and websites or deny, either block, warn, right? In specific day of time. For example, if I want to block a suspicious malicious sites like malware, botnets, and so forth, it can be done relatively very easily. We have dynamic lists that feeds that are being updated on the go. And for example, if I come to download the file will be scanned for malware and only then will be downloaded to the computer. A very, from one end, simple to use and effective tool to provide internet security, right? But also a very sophisticated engine beneath it. So we discussed the layer 3 and layer 4 firewall rules. We discussed the layer 7 rules. Additional features to share here is the device posture check. So you can configure a policy, okay? We support Windows, Mac, iPhone, Android, where you can basically give you visibility and enforcement on how the devices should look like, right? Whether the antivirus needs to be installed or not, the disk is encrypted, there is any warning from the Windows Security Center or not. And then create you a very deep visibility to all the devices in the company, whether they're healthy, not healthy, and why. Okay? So this is just part of the capabilities of Perimeter 81, and I showed it very briefly. But I believe that the concept is clear, right? It's a single management platform that allows you to deploy an enterprise-grade corporate network over the internet very easily with a few clicks of a button, right? And provide a seamless security experience to your employees and resources, regardless where they are, right? If I open my computer at home or open my computer at work, I have the same security experience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amit. I appreciate that. It's really nice to see SASE laid out and explained so simply. So with that being said, we actually do have a few questions that have been proposed, but I just haven't had a chance to introduce you guys to them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Just give me a moment. Okay, so I'll give you the first one, Amit. What are the challenges? I have a small business. What is the biggest challenge I face? What is the biggest challenge I face as I try to scale my business during this pandemic? Amit, do you want to give that a shot?
Yeah, so you'd like to focus on what you do, right, on your business. And there are many challenges around that, right, that are not on the core business, right? If I have a business to a law firm, right, and I work from home, then I cannot access my files, and I need to install a VPN or not necessarily right one. So one of the power, right, the strongest parts of SASE, that it's basically a complete managed solution and lets our customers, and I have many examples, right, to focus on their core competencies in their business, right, and offload all the infrastructure security issues to two leading vendors that's what they do, right? And we saw that Print 81 was very helpful to businesses during the pandemic because it's a completely software-based solution. They didn't need to go anywhere. Very rapidly, even in a matter of hours, they migrated the complete company right over, and were able to secure the workforce while they are remote, but also increase productivity and impact.
Amazing. So just to wrap it up, in case anyone didn't happen to catch it. So if I caught you correctly, Amit, to focus on their core competencies, rely on leading vendors, go software-based, and find that rapid solution, find a solution that can help to secure their remote workforce. Does that sound in line with what you said?
Yeah.
Great. I see. Oh, we just got another question now. I'm going to give this one to you, Louis. Louis, so actually this is perfect because you wrote the report, so that you might be perfectly prepped for this question. What do you see as the main challenge for cybersecurity for businesses in 2022? Great question for you, Louis.
The main challenge, let's say, I think that according to our study, about 67% of companies have cybersecurity insurance, and another 30% are actually considering it. Now, I think it was earlier this week or last week, Merck had a $1.4 billion suit against their cybersecurity company for damages that resulted as part of the NotPetya.
Yeah.
And the cybersecurity company did not want to pay, an insurance company did not want to pay, and they won in court. So what this means is that the insurance underwriters are suffering big losses, and cybersecurity insurance will be dramatically changing in 2022. So companies need to really expect their costs to go up and budget appropriately. But cybersecurity insurance still is extremely important, and they should maintain their policies because as we're going forward, the cyber risk is still there. But if the governments get together, especially led by the Biden administration, to get serious about international cooperation on cybersecurity, maybe things will turn around the bend. Maybe it'll be the beginning of the end of the wild, wild west that we're seeing.
Interesting. There is an interesting question here that I want to share with Amit. Amit, so I'm going to read it to you. It's also available to you in case you don't understand. But is there any MDM client which needs to be installed on the private mobile phones of employees? This is tricky as those devices are private, and it is really difficult to convince people to install something on their private mobile phone. How can you guide us with your experience on this? Let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Yeah, no, I understand the question. It's a good question. It's mostly related to mobile devices, like mobile phones. It's the policy of the company. So we see multiple angles. First of all, on desktop, on laptops, like Windows, Macs, Linux, we see that our agents is usually being deployed on the managed devices of the organizations, right? Computers that are being given to the employees and owned by the company. On the mobile devices, then it's a question, right? Whether the policy of the organization. So some of our customers don't give access to emails or sensitive information on the mobile phones unless they install the Print 81 agent. And we support MDM deployment, so it can be enforced that the agent is running, not being deleted, but we can also support bring your own device and just by a policy request the employees to make sure that the agent is running, right? And we do have customers that are not using the mobile or just a recommendation to their employees to using the mobile piece. But this is definitely a challenge, right? As mobile devices are usually very private and you would like to avoid it, but there are multiple approaches, and I think this is an area that is going to be developed significantly over the next few years.
Wonderful. Sorry, Louis, I'm actually going to skip over you once more. I think there's another question that is well suited this time for Amit. So Amit, I'm going to target you with this one. Someone's asked a little bit about ZTNA. How do you see the trends and how are trends going to meet these new challenges when it comes to zero trust? Whoever's in the audience that wrote that, I hope I was able to relay the question properly. Amit, so that one's for you. ZTNA, how do you see trends meeting challenges in 2022? Do you have any thoughts on that? Louis, also, you can feel free to answer.
Yeah, I think the ZTNA is only a part of a complete secure corporate network over the internet that is being delivered. Basically, ZTNA refers to the use case of remote access, how to give ability to remote access. Now, once the ZTNA is maturing, right, and Perimeter 81 specifically, we're a leader in this space, and this is the use case that we've started with. We are increasing our development efforts on additional use cases, for example, internet security, right, and then endpoint security. And there are many, many avenues. And ZTNA, it's a very important pillar, okay, of remote access. But still, there are many different avenues that we'll need to continue to develop.
Okay, absolutely. Understood. I have, okay, one more question. Yeah, one more question. Oh, easy one, and this one's for you, Louis. Can you, what are Perimeter 81 cyber security or network security predictions for the next year, for 2022? Louis, do you want to share a couple of points?
Yeah.
You may or may not have written a blog about this recently.
Yes, I wrote a blog about it. A lot of water under the bridge because I actually predicted what was going to go on in 2022 back in 2021. I did predict that we're going to see more significant cyber attacks, and that's already happened this year. I also predicted that changes were going to be coming to cybersecurity insurance, and that we've seen will definitely be coming. Costs are already increasing. Policies are going up between 50 and 100% already. And this is even before we've felt the results of Merck's victory in court. And then, of course, another big issue is international cooperation. We've seen that the Biden administration started off already with an executive order towards the end of 2021 regarding zero trust. And now they're assembling, business leaders and technology leaders, and they've even, I think, twice already had meeting with international leaders. And I think that, involving law enforcement and legislation and all the, governments internationally working together, this could really mean that, by 2023, 2024 and onward, that the internet will be a much safer world. But of course, you'll still need to have your own cybersecurity in place.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Thank you for that, Louis. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And thank you to everyone in the audience. Some great questions here today. And if you didn't have a chance to ask one, or you just didn't feel like writing it today, you are always welcome to reach out to us at any time for any questions. You can contact us at perimeter81.com. Schedule a demo. And if you missed this webinar, you faced any technical issues, feel free to reach out to us. We can send you the deck. We can get you the report that Louis mentioned. It'd be our pleasure. I also would like to thank Louis and Amit for joining us tonight. You were great guests, and thank you so much for everything you had to share.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael and Louis, and I welcome everyone, right? If they would like to have a one-on-one session, consultation sessions, we are here and be happy to walk you through on any challenges that you might have. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And before we go, thank you guys. If you have further questions, please contact us at sales@perimeter81.com, or you can just visit us at perimeter81.com or follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are. And thank you for joining this webinar. We appreciate it. All the best. Bye, guys. Have a great one.
Bye.